Today's episode is brought to you by...
Welcome
to a brand new...
Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. So today I'm going to talk about the Balkanization of Western entertainment, and I'm going to use
the new He-Man cartoon.
Imagine if you paid to see Kanye, and then he just left the stage, and then MC Hammer came on.
This joke of a show isn't about He-Man at all. This is a show about Tila.
She's a lesbian.
What the fuck is this?
Well, when you look at these large corporations, they play act at being virtuous. They virtue signal to these quote-unquote progressive individuals that they are supposedly trying to get as their audience. But honestly, they are very, very corporate when it comes to making money.
This is why I don't go to theaters anymore. I mean, I could do something like that, and I could give me the worst book you can think of, like Biker Mice from Mars or something. I'll make a movie of that that'll just knock your socks off. Because I'll stick to the canon.
The heroic biker mice did their best to hold off the cat of creeps.
Or Muppets, you know?
Yeah.
Make another Muppets movie, and...
That's our agenda!
It's not about stupid, you know, breaking down the boundaries and expanding the horizons of perversion and morality.
What I hate is when they try to make it politically correct just when it doesn't need to be.
Oh yeah, the SJW shit.
And this is where we get to the point of why He-Man and this story looks like a woke piece of garbage.
But why?
It is because a corporation is a soulless entity that only cares about its belly. It only cares about feeding itself. It only cares about making money.
They don't realize that the people who read comics are underweight, overweight dudes who don't get laid.
And this has a significant impact on what is going to happen within the future, within certainly science fiction and fantasy entertainment, because science fiction and fantasy entertainment do indeed rely to a great part on that surprise element of their storytelling.
What did you expect?
And if you're a large corporation and you want to make that money, you need to keep that surprise. But here's the thing. A large corporation is necessarily going to disrespect any intellectual property that it owns, because all it is concerned with is making money.
I like money, though.
A corporation is not an individual, despite the fact that it looks so on paper. A corporation does not have a soul. A corporation does not have a conscience. A corporation is there simply to feed money to itself. And that is all it is there for.
Sheep never realize there's a wolf around until it's too late. Then they do exactly what the wolf expects them to do. They run into each other. They fall down, they become dinner.
And so once it controls an intellectual property, it will bleed it dry no matter how hard it has to twist and bend it, no matter who it has to pimp it out to, it's going to bleed it dry of as much money as possible. And although that may not look at the first like it is disrespecting the material, there is always the possibility that it is going to disrespect that material, and I would say there is always a heavy probability that it will be that way once they've milked all the money out of it. And if you hire people that actually respect the story, that's going to be extremely hard. Because if the person working on the project actually respects the material more than it respects your corporation, then their devotion to that material is going to trump their devotion to the corporation.
Before I continue, let's bring on today's sponsor. No thanks to you. Yep, no thanks to you. We don't get any fucking hype, anything that really matters. And
The lore they've done with DC Comics is fucking amazing.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Skeletor is actually King Randor's brother, which makes him He-Man and She-Ra's uncle.
welcome to your
But also heir to the throne of Katz from Grayskull.
And also, he's the older brother of Randor.
That's a great story. My inner 12-year-old gives thumbs up on that one.
I mean, come on!
I read the Eternity War, I read He-Man Thundercats, and I read Masters of the Multiverse. He-Man Thundercats, it's just fan servicey.
Yeah, shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic.
The Masters of the Multiverse is great because it has the Dolph Lundgren He-Man in it, has the Filmation He-Man in it. Evil He-Man's killing all the He-Man, right?
These are great ideas. Unfortunately, they find these guys with a touch to work on a classic book rather than giving them something new to do. Like
This is why Masters of the Multiverse was awesome. Because I told you, it's evil He-Man killing other He-Man. So guess who the hero is?
It would appear so.
But appearances can be deceiving!
Why can't the publishers find a young guy or any guy that has a new angle or a story?
No, they do.
They
do find a new guy with a new angle. The new angle is he makes it all SJW.
Triggered.
Not anything that was ever good started out with anything Marvel or DC centric. It was always the artist. Like you talk to the guy like
Todd McFarlane.
How come God hogs up all the good followers and we get all the retards?
My center of the universe is always Jack Kirby for what was the best.
In the end, the world didn't really need a Superman. Just a brave one.
I was also a fan of Jim Lee. Editor of DC was supposed to be a doctor, but he just chose to be an artist instead. Isn't that crazy?
Well, he's very productive. He's had a lot of output, so it's worked out for him.
But what happened was, like, he co-founded Image Comics with Todd McFarlane, Robert Liefeld. It was like, because Marvel wasn't paying them the rights of the creations they did. So they're like, fuck you, we're doing our own thing. Imagine being in your 20s, and you go from being like a hired-for-gun artist for fucking Marvel, then you start your own company, and you're making millions of dollars.
Well, that's not so bad so long as you stick your nose to the grindstone and you finish one concept before you roll into another.
Jim Lee did that. Jim Lee did that. No one else really was. It was the only people who were productive with Image Comics was Jim Valentino because he was older. Jim Lee, obviously, because he was business-minded. Todd McFarlane, he was the biggest asshole out of them. And Eric Larson, who did Savage Dragon, right? So what Jim Lee did is like, well, Warner Brothers owns DC. They're going to give me a better deal. So he supposedly sold out. He didn't sell out, he bought in. Because within 2 years, he became the editor of DC Comics. Yeah.
So that's how that happened?
That's how it happened, yeah. They bought his studio. Everybody was calling him a sellout for it. But he was able to put his own creations in the DC universe. You know that Flashpoint thing where the Flash changes the whole history, and that's what became the New 52.
Yeah, I'm not really hip on.
They made an animated movie of it, and that's what the new Flash movie is going to be, actually. So.
Multiverses.
Come on! The New 52 was created by Jim Lee because he became editor of DC Comics, and he wanted to be able to put his own characters in the DC universe.
No conflict of interest. No.
Yeah. So, and it worked out okay, you know what I mean? In fact, a lot of the DC movies that came out recently were loosely based off the were based off the New 52. My problem I had was some characters he just should have not touched. Like he ruined my favorite character, Lobo. You know what I mean?
Which one?
Lobo.
Which one did you say?
Lobo.
Lobo.
He's a space biker. He's a space biker, bounty hunter. He's awesome. You know what I mean? But like, it's because no one really cared about Lobo because he was supposed to be a parody of Wolverine. Reality is basically Lemmy as a space biker.
Well, he should have executive correction rights to go in and fix Superman and get the Superman movies fixed. You know, I mean, there's so many books.
Well,
on
he did.
Superman.
He actually did a lot of the concept art for the new stuff and all that shit. Well, again, what also happened was everybody was getting pissed off and annoyed by the New 52, so they rebooted it again in 2015.
I made a huge mistake.
Then there's Marvel.
You're going to very specifically weed out anybody who has respect for this property. So what does that look like?
All they do is hire fucking SJWs straight out of fucking college.
Jeez.
And that's why everything sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the reason why is because their fucking vice president is this fucking Middle Eastern bitch named Sana Amanat, and she cares more about diversity than story. And that's why they thought it was a good idea to make Wolverine and Cyclops in a polyamorous gay relationship with Jean Grey.
No.
Yeah, that's what they did. That's what they fucking did.
X-Men was my favorite book. I mean, I was into X-Men in the mid-'70s before anybody thought they were anything. And
yeah,
I was collecting Silver Age.
When Chris Claremont was writing for him, I know.
Yeah, I mean, those are some great stories. It was about human frailty, how, you know, accepting of people's limitations and working within your boundaries, and teamsmanship,
and now they're
that kind
trying
of
to make
stuff.
it all politically correct, where
Sucks.
Xavier and Magneto might be black, just because they can.
Oh, of course. All your commercials on YouTube are black.
And now they think, okay, let's do that in movie form. So let's make a female Thor, just to make a female Thor.
But you can't do that to the canon without destroying the basic, show.
Exactly, kid. It's because they're hiring these SJWs who also shit on their fans.
You get a corporation, which in itself does not respect the material, hiring a number of people who don't respect this material when they're writing it, when they're producing it, when they're doing anything else to bring this into existence.
I'd go into detail, but you know, I'm just basically just trolling all of you anyway. So, whatever. I'd say special thanks to people, but I gotta go on Sub Pals and YT Pals just to try to get 100 views on here because the algorithm can suck my balls. Fuck this website. Fuck Facebook. Fuck Twitter. Seriously, this is the only thing I got going for myself, and I'm barely scraping by because no thanks to you. Go fuck yourselves, all of you. Fuck this site. Coming soon to both Lost Anarchy magazine and Get Watch Mojo channels. We got some badass graphic novel reviews. And of course, I'd like to make a shout out to our patron, Count Morivon, my homie from the Rainbow. I'm not gonna say what he does, but this guy is badass. Check out his channel. He does a lot of stuff on satanic poetry and other satanic Bible studies. And also a shout out to one of our other newer patrons, Janitor Jay. I've been a fan of his for years and...
Talk about nostalgia.